Now it's time to paint our corn. And again, just to look at the picture, you can see there are just all different colors of corn here. So whatever you decide to do is just fine. There's such a variety. So use lots of colors and make it a real mixture. And we're going to use watercolors in order to do that. So just real quickly to remind us how to set up to watercolor, you have a piece of newspaper, you have your project. I set my corn sideways so it would all be on the newspaper. You must have a piece of paper towel whenever you watercolor, your bowl of water, and your paint. And to start with, I want you to do the kernels of corn. And if your paint has not been used by someone recently and it's dry, you need to put just a drop of clean water on the color. Just a drop. Now don't yank on your brush when you do this. Just let it drip. You never want to pull on your brush bristles, it loosens them. Then when we watercolor, we never scrub on our paint. Remember, we only pick up the puddle that's floating on the top of the paint. So we always pick up from that puddle. And I'm going to just take this orange and jump around a little bit. And I see it's a little wet, so I'm going to blot it and take my brush and pick up a couple of those puddles. And it's better when you do this project if you jump around. If you paint in rows, it's going to end up looking, I don't know, just too organized to actually be like natural corn. You're going to end up with a pattern, and that's not what you're shooting for. So I'm going to drop some orange down, and then maybe take a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to put the yellow on. I'm just going to dab it on. I'm not going to brush a whole lot. We just want to let the colors kind of run together and do their own thing. We want each one to look a little different. And then maybe I'll take some red and go a few places with red. Again, don't overbrush. Let the water flow around. And watercolors are supposed to be transparent. They should not look real sticky on your paper. You should be able to see through them a little bit. Then with that red, I think this time I'm going to put a little bit of purple with the red. Again, I'm going to dab purple on. I'm not going to do a whole lot of brushing. Oops, that one got a little heavy, so I'm just going to suck that up with my brush and blot it back off onto the paper towel. So maybe I'll add a little purple, like that. And then maybe I will experiment with yellow with a little red, and maybe I'll try a little blue with purple. I'm going to experiment with different color combinations. If you're not sure if you'll like a color combination, you could use a scrap paper to experiment, or you could experiment on your newspaper to see if you like a color. So what I'd like you to do now is continue to paint your kernels of corn, experiment with different combinations of colors, and then when you're done, we will talk about painting the husk. So go ahead and hit pause. I'll finish painting my kernels, you finish painting yours, and when you turn the video back on, you will see then how to paint the husk. Okay, now for the finishing touches. You can see that I finished my kernels of corn, and I just kept going all over in random areas, painting one kernel at a time with different color combinations. And sometimes I left it very light, sometimes I made the color a little more intense. The trick to that is to just make sure that you use a random pattern. Now the next thing you're going to need to do are the husks. And for the husks, you'll use a little bit bigger brush. And you need to pick up some yellow and try to make it pretty watery. And you don't want to scrub with your brush. You just want to kind of guide the water across the paper with your brush. And then while it's still wet, pick up just a little bit of brown and touch it on there. And then I'm going to rinse the rest of the brown off of my brush. Again, when you rinse, just gently rinse. Don't go crazy and splash it on other people's projects. Rinse down in and then scrape your brush off and then blot it. And then what you're going to do is just scooch that brown around a little bit. Now because I stopped and talked, you can see that it got a little spotted. You need to work quickly when you do this. So I'm going to take some yellow, lay that down, gently move it across the paper. If it's too bright and you want it to look a little less bright, you can just take a wet brush and just pick a little bit of that up. Then I'm going to take just a little bit of brown and drop that on there. And then move that brown out. Again, the water is moving the paint. You don't want to scrub it. And just let it look a little streaky like that. Don't keep brushing until it's all solid one color brown. And I'm trying to make each one look a little different than the others. Paint this last one here. Just a little touch of brown. I'm going to pull some of that brown down into there and just let it do its thing. So when you're finished, your corn should look something like this. So go ahead and finish it up.